This is the Drive-In Podcast, episode 38, take one. Bada bing, bada boom. Welcome to the 38th episode of the Drive-In Podcast. On today's episode, we have the Express Checkup with yours truly, Dr. O. We have our highly anticipated review of Zack Snyder's Army of the Dead. And then finally, we have our top billing of upcoming Netflix projects. So use the bathroom now, grab your popcorn, and enjoy the 38th episode of the Drive-In Podcast. Ricky Flex, great to see you. Happy to be recording with you. Sadly, we don't have our partner in crime, Nez, with us this evening and on this recording, but we're sure to have him back for the 39th episode. I'm kind of okay with Nez not being here, primarily because now I'm not forced to doing the Mona Lisa Vito impersonation for my cousin Vinny now, unless you're gonna hold me to it.
No, I feel bad if Nez was not here for that. I was looking forward to that. I was actually thinking about it today, trying to think of how much into it were you going to be? How much of an Oscar-worthy performance, or would it be more of a Golden Globes or a Razzie? What would it be here? I was looking forward to it. We're not going to see it today, but maybe next week.
I'm anticipating mixed reviews, to say the least, when I do it, but I
For
will be
sure.
practicing. I will bring my A game. I will try and have the script memorized to the best of my ability. You might have to hop in and play Joe Pesci for a couple lines, but I think we can make it work.
How can you be so sure?
It's a 38 Chevy. I'm not even gonna practice it. I'm not even gonna do it. I'm not even gonna do it. No teasing. No teasing. But how else? So Ricky Flex, before we get into the checkup today, you been watching anything good? I know we got Army of the Dead, but you watching any shows? Getting like doing your homework on some films? What do you got?
Interesting that you say that, because I just finished season 2 of Yellowstone, the Taylor Sheridan series. I've been watching it. Actually, it's very well known that it's on Paramount, but I've been watching it on Peacock. I don't know how the rights work with that, but I've been watching it on Peacock, and I think it's very good. It's, I will say, a little overrated, but very good. There's two major storylines that I just think are so not poorly written, but just unbelievable. Like, just, I
Ah,
think major mistakes. Just, it doesn't make sense of how the characters were introduced and what happens and what unfolds. It doesn't make
mhm.
any sense. But all in all, beautiful to watch, very entertaining, and definitely just, I overrated but very good. How about yourself?
Honestly, not much. I think I said in the last podcast, I've been catching up on Peaky Blinders. I know they're shooting the last season right now. I think they plan on doing a movie too. I'm also trying to catch up. I know Cillian Murphy, I've been hearing and I've been reading, does a killer job in Quiet Place Part 2, which is now at 93% on Rotten Tomatoes with 81
Wow.
reviews. How are you? But
Wow.
that's a review in 2 episodes. I am stoked for that movie. I'm stoked for it, man. I cannot wait.
I did not even look at Rotten Tomatoes. I don't know about you, but I will actually, I do know about you because you just looked it up. You said you looked it up, but I haven't been looking at Rotten Tomatoes much lately. I really haven't. I just keep doing the reviews that we're doing, and I look at it, or when Nez usually says it, when it's time for the review, it's like, oh, okay, that's the Rotten Tomatoes. And
Mhm.
usually I used to be addicted to looking at them, because I used to like predicate myself on, like, oh, I'll go see this movie, but then it was at like 18. I'm like, maybe I'll think twice about it. Now it's like, I don't really care anymore.
Right. I do a lot of like the checkup research on Rotten Tomatoes. I'm on there like all the time.
Hmm.
I do a bunch of different websites surfing for like news and everything, but that's one I use pretty frequently. They have their own thing. They have the catch up, not as good as the checkup, but I think that's a good
See what
segue
you did
to
there.
get it going, huh?
Oh yeah, let's do it. Big week
Ex-
this week for news.
Massive checkup express style. Let's get to it. Get after it. Here we go. Leslie Odom Jr. and Kate Hudson are the most recent additions to the cast of Knives Out 2. The supporting cast already includes Catherine Hahn, Edward Norton, and Dave Bautista. Shout out Army of the Dead, today's review. The sequel is currently shooting in Spain and will premiere on Netflix in 2022. Moving on, we got the first Eternals trailer released by Marvel Studios. There are rumors the film from Best Director winner Chloe Zhao will debut at Cannes Film Festival in July. I hope I pronounced that right. The trailer provides our first look at Marvel's new superhero team, featuring the likes of Gemma Chan, Richard Madden, Angelina Jolie, Salma Hayek, among so many others. The film is set to hit theaters November 5th of this year. Next up on the checkup, some casting news. Henry Cavill will star in Lionsgate's Highlander reboot. The original 1986 Highlander pick starred Christopher Lambert, Sean Connery, R.I.P., and Clancy Brown as immortal beings hunting down one another and collecting more power. The film, with its "there can only be one" catchphrase, spawned 4 sequels and 3 television series, including the popular USA series starring Adrian Paul. Chad Stahelski, who is known for his work with John Wick, will be helming the film. Next up, more casting news. How are you? Timothée Chalamet has been cast as Willy Wonka for an origin film from Warner Brothers. The story will focus on a young Willy Wonka and his adventures prior to opening the world's most famous chocolate factory. Wonka will mark the first time Chalamet gets to show off his singing and dancing skills, with several musical numbers set to appear in the film. To wrap up the checkup today, we have Robert Pattinson, the Batman. He has signed a production deal with Warner Brothers, New Line Cinema, Warner Brothers Television, and HBO Max. This deal is for theatrical, SVOD, technically HBO Max, and Warner Brothers TV properties. This deal represents the actor's first foray into producing. Diversifying, I love it. Pattinson is set to make his highly anticipated debut as the Batman in 2022. That does it for the checkup this week. Ricky Flicks, chock full of juicy stories today. Where do you want to start?
I'm not going to say it, but Eternals trailer. Like, what do you think? I think that's where we should start. That dominated Twitter today.
I had no idea this was dropping today. When I saw, I freaked out. I got home from a trip today. I pulled up my laptop. I got to make the checkup. All of a sudden, it says Eternals trailer is finally here. I lost my mind. I've been waiting for this thing for months on end, and so has the entire world. And you know what? I liked what I saw. I really did like what I saw. I think this comes after the trailers we're getting for Black Widow and Shang-Chi that have such like that strong Marvel feel to it, like a comic book feel to it. This one I was watching, it's just beautiful cinematography. It's got all like all the stars that you can think of, and you like from Hollywood. Like I listed them like literally maybe a quarter of the cast in the checkup today. But I'm excited to see Chloe Zhao's follow-up to Nomadland, and even the first like 10 seconds of this trailer, I was like, is this a sequel to Nomadland? That's literally what I was thinking. Like, what is going
really
on
nice.
right
now?
now?
All the mountains and everything going on.
Only thing I'm questioning a little bit is the music choice there. Didn't exactly pump me up too much to see it, but this could set up like an epic vibe to it. People are talking about a potential Best Picture nominee for Eternals. Can you imagine, Flicks? Do you think this movie has that potential?
No, but like what?
Could premiere Kane.
I was going to be so positive on it, but now that you say Best Picture, now I'm freaking out. But I will just pivot a little bit saying, I agree with you. This looks like it's going to be like mainly Rob Stark and Gemma Chan. Like pretty much their movie with Angelina Jolie. That's what at least this trailer looked like. Mm-hmm. Only got one still of Kit Harington. A little disappointed by that, but I can't complain too much because all in all, this was a Rockstar trailer. This was awesome.
It was a Rockstar trailer. I like that. We're going to start using that from now on. But yeah, I wish I saw a little more Kit Harington. He may not have as big of a role in the movies as we all would like. I know he's not an official member of the Eternals, I think, according to comic book lore, but like his character, I should say. Not actually Kit Harington, but
we wish.
I wanted to say, I think they didn't really obviously state who the villain's going to be, but I think
like that.
If I can like kind of pinpoint who I would assume is the antagonist of this, it's Barry Keoghan in this film. Barry Keoghan.
A little villainy vibes in this, I will say.
It said something like something about not trusting or whatever in the trailer. Something very like, okay, like overt, like this is probably he's got some evilness inside of him, and I would love to see him as a villain. He has that little like an oddball kind of look to him. He's an up and coming actor, and I think that this could be a showcase for him. This movie specifically among all these stars, and then you got him appearing in the Batman, right? He did a great job in Chernobyl. I'm a huge fan of him, and I can't wait to see what he brings to the table.
Yeah, but Dunkirk, Killing of the Sacred Deer with Colin Farrell,
Killing of the Sacred Deer,
like that's where he kind of like came onto the scene, to the limelight, to everybody, and then he just like went on that tear, like you said, and he's going to continue it with the Green Knight, Eternals, Batman. Like the guy's going to be, he's going to be. This is like a officially going to be in one, starting with this movie and Green Knight this year. So really looking forward to seeing his career blossom, and he might be the villain here. But going back to your point with saying we don't know who the trailer is officially, and that's the
Villain.
big thing. Oh yeah, the villain. Yeah, in this trailer, you don't like. I hate with trailers nowadays. They kind of give you too much. This first 2.5 minute trailer didn't tell you a lot about it. It just told you, all right, these people know what happened with the Infinity Stones. They know, like, obviously, who doesn't in the galaxy with
You
half the
know the
people left.
Avengers.
They know the Avengers, and they know their own powers and everything going on there. But that's it. It's a lot of interpretation right now. The second trailer, the next full trailer that we're going to see is going to be really telling to see how much are they going to release and how much are they going like how much we're going to know compared to when this movie actually comes out in November.
Right. And like I guess the final like thing I want to address, and I think the whole world is kind of wondering, is that they know about the Avengers, they know about Thanos. Where the hell were these guys when Thanos was decimating
Right.
half of the universe? So they
Exactly.
better explain that. I know they will. Marvel's super connected. They have a great job establishing the universe, making sure that they're covering their tracks for the most part. And I think this is kind of an obvious one where Kevin Feige has some work to do in that regard.
Right, and they successfully set up like how big their roles, their character, this movie in general is going to be in the MCU, especially at the end when Rob Stark's like, "Oh, I could lead the Avengers," and they all
Yeah.
start laughing. But it's like, "Oh, Rob Stark, you know he can. It's
Right.
Rob Stark."
We've seen those leadership qualities
Yes, we have.
more than capable. Ricky Flex, we also got to talk about little Willy Wonka, Oompa Loompa. How are you? We're going Timothy Chalamet being cast as Wonka. A couple months back, it was reported that Warner Brothers was trying to create this film. It was being produced, and they wanted to either have Holland or Chalamet as a young Willy Wonka. Right. So, do you think they made the right decision with Chalamet over Holland?
Yeah, I don't want to repeat too much that we said before, but
Yeah.
yes, I think I was the only one on this podcast out of three that wanted Chalamet. Obviously, we talked about how Holland, there's two kind of rises to stardom in Hollywood. You can go the blockbuster route to start, and then you can get into the artsy stuff and get into your Oscar noms from after you get that well-known presence where you become like a fan favorite, or you start like a Chalamet. You're on Royal Pains as a 12-year-old or however how old he was as a kid,
Mm-hmm.
and you start making your come up through the artsy fartsy stuff that you like to call it, and like then you get a starring role in Call Me by Your Name, and then you get into all these other roles where you get an Oscar nom when you're really young, when you're only 22, 23, 24. So they kind of went separate roles to get here, and they decided to go the artsy fartsy route. And I think that he's going to kill it in this role where it's going to be more of a dramatic, serious role. And I think he's better suited for that right now at this stage in their careers than Tom Holland.
Yeah, at the same time though, I'm seeing like it's gonna mark the first time he's gonna be like singing and dancing in a movie. I think he's capable of that. Even probably had that type of career, not even his career, just like being a stage actor growing up. He probably has that background. But that's why I thought Holland would have been perfect. Like we saw him tearing it up when he was like on what was it, the JJ LL Cool J
Yeah,
show, the
the lip
lip
sync
sync
battle.
battles. Yeah, when he was Rihanna, when kind of a
Yeah.
weird to say out loud, but you gotta watch the video and see how electric it is. But either way, I think it was a win-win situation if either of those two got to play Willy Wonka, and if it's just it can't be worse than like Johnny Depp's performance when he was the pasty Willy Wonka back in the like 05, I think it was. But we'll see if he has the singing chops.
And it's just tough because also Chalamet, like he's a little pasty as well, and he's got the long hair, dark hair. So you're thinking like, oh, like Johnny Depp kind of like is a prequel to the Johnny Depp character, not the Gene Wilder character. So you're automatically thinking that bad movie, those bad vibes from that Charlie and the Chocolate Factory.
True.
But I think Chalamet has the acting chops to overtake that, and
And he
Timothy
did that
Chalamet just
Edward.
hosted SNL.
Didn't he do that Edward Scissorhands commercial too? Was that Chalamet?
Oh my god, I think you're right.
Right. And so it's like you automatically make the Johnny Depp connection now.
Yes,
I think I just
it's
ruined.
confirmed now.
I think I just ruined this movie before it even started to be made. I think I just ruined it. I'm
Chalamet will
sorry to
come
all the
through for us.
listeners. Lastly, Ricky Flex. I know I put RPAT on here, and if I don't talk about Robert Pattinson, he's on a checkup. I think I'm doing something wrong. But I
course.
love that he's foraying into this production, the hit like him producing movies and different projects for Warner Brothers. I like that connection he's making with Warner Brothers. He's the next Batman. You wonder how much of like the Batman property like that like is going to cover these projects. Like, will he now be making appearances in the Gotham City show that's going to be premiering on HBO Max that's in the same universe as the Batman? Will he be on set regularly for those shows for those episodes?
Right, yeah.
But it'll be interesting, but I'm also interested. Anything he does, like I'm locked in. Like I gotta see Arpat and what he does. The guy's must watch. I think as I said before in this podcast, I'm pretty like he's like progressing right now into the next Leo. I think he's like the next
Yes,
guy.
I completely agree. Completely agree. I kind of had a different take on this. I had two separate takes or two separate thoughts, I should say, not takes. One, Batman trilogy, like confirmed. Like this movie number one has to be amazing if he's already saying, "All right, like I'm gonna be a producer with Warner Brothers." Like, come on, like this movie's gonna be great. They wouldn't just sign him up if Batman sucks. Like, imagine if like the Batman sucks and he continued to be a producer. Like, no way, not even possible.
The
So this movie's gonna be
Batman,
phenomenal.
dude, I'm telling the Batman's gonna make at least $2 billion.
Yeah,
It's
but
going to
this
make 2 billion.
confirms that this movie will be good.
And I think like them pushing the release date back, that's like confirming to everybody
Hype
like
train, keep
like
pushing
it's
up.
just building the hype. I agree
Yes.
100%. Like and then they
Get past all the MCU movies
and
coming out. Like
I know they
Batman's
got
its own thing.
they got DC fandom coming back this year. Thank God. I'm gonna do a blog
Second
about it on like things you can expect. Let's get the second Batman
Yes,
trailer
keep it rolling.
on DC fandom, right?
Yeah.
Back to back years. That would, oh my gosh. And did you see those pics that came out of the Riddler? Did you see those?
Yes. Yeah,
Surface?
we didn't mention that. Yeah, I did like those.
Yeah. So it's a different take on the character. It definitely seems more of like grounded compared to like him wearing a green top hat and like have question marks on a suit, you know. It just looks 10 times better. It just looks like he looked like Zodiac killer vibes, you know.
Yeah, it confirms it also with Matt Reeves, like he's jumping into all these HBO animated shows, and also like all the different parts of this movie are also intertwined with shows and animated series, stuff like that, like people involved with it. And this is just another confirmation that they're going to keep their star, not just in part of this movie, but a part of their studio, which is huge, and work on other multiple projects. So not just that this movie will be good, possible trilogy. And then also just my other thought was Warner Brothers, just what movie were we reviewing this week? Army of the Dead, Zack Snyder, and he's been kind of crapping on him on the media train for this movie the past 2 weeks, saying, "Oh, like Netflix gave me this and that." And
this is the Snyder cut for Army of the Dead,
right? And like basically mocking Warner Brothers a bit. So like out of all the
They hate each
negativity around Warner Brothers right now, like you think of Nolan, you're thinking of Dune. Dune had to like fight for a year about getting a theatrical release and not a same HBO Max and theatrical release at the same time. So a lot of negativity around Warner Brothers. This is finally a positive, which will make headlines.
As we wrap up, yeah, and as we're wrapping up, I just want to quickly add. You brought up Dune, like Dune. I got a lot of like Dune vibes from the Eternals trailer. Like I did feel that little.
You're
bit.
right. You're right. The
Futuristic.
cinematography, the dark, not necessarily too dark, but because it has like some of the nice colors coming through the cinematography, but still overall darkness to it, but still the stars popping out with the great star-studded cast.
Just feels like an epic scale to it. I'm very excited.
The costumes, like Angelina Jolie glowing, like yeah, I'm with you.
100%. That does it for the checkup this week. Let's move on to our review of Zack Snyder's Army of the Dead. All right, Ricky Flicks, Army of the Dead. It's available to see on Netflix and in theaters currently. This is a no spoiler review. We're not going to spoil it for anyone who hasn't seen the movie. They're interested. They want to hear our thoughts. We're just going to give, no spoilers. We're going to protect you guys. This currently has a 71% on Rotten Tomatoes and a 6 out of 10 on IMDb. That's a 6.0. Here's the synopsis. So after a zombie outbreak in Las Vegas, a group of mercenaries takes the ultimate gamble by venturing into the quarantine zone for the greatest heist ever. Okay, Ricky Flex, same thing as always. Knee-jerk reactions. What did you think upon viewing Zack Snyder's newest film?
I think it did its job. Very entertaining. Zombie movies, you think, all right, what do you need first? You need to have good zombies. They had good zombies. They made it fun with Vegas. Very easy. You could just do Vegas jobs like a blackjack deal or a fake Elvis. Everything you think of Vegas was in this movie, and they did it very well in this zombie land type or zombie territory, I should say. And the views were great. I will say one downfall of the movie is that its best part was in the first 2 minutes of the movie with the opening credit scene. I thought in my eyes, that was my favorite part of the movie. Just the action sequences, even in slow-mo, unlike we talked about in Justice League, Zack Snyder's Justice League. There was a little too much slow-mo in this one. It actually was very well done in my eyes. The movie did run a little long, but overall, very fun, action-packed. What you want to see in a zombie movie, and with someone like a Dave Bautista leading it, you're not really you're looking for those action scenes. You're not looking for those in-depth dramatic scenes, which I thought failed in this movie, but that's not what we're looking for in this. This was successful in my eyes. How about you?
I thought it was solid. I think it was better than average, to be honest. And I did enjoy watching it. It was slow. It was slow at times, specifically in the first hour of the film. Like you said, the first scene's great, a lot of action, and then like obviously when they go into Vegas, you're seeing all like the Easter eggs about. Well, like you're talking about the Elvis, the casino, like Dave Bautista, like running on the top of like card tables in the
Hmm.
casino. I thought that was pretty awesome. I think it's later on in the movie, but I think um it was just the action when it hit in the middle to the end was very good, but I was taken out a little bit in the beginning just based on how slow everything kind of was building up and coming together.
Completely
Uh,
agree.
and I also think Zack Snyder, this is like he does this with like he did it with the DC universe, but he makes one movie and he just looks at franchise potential before he makes one movie.
He's
You
already
know,
talking about it today. Today he
and like
talked about it.
there's already an anime series in the works. There's a prequel idea being floated around. There's obviously even the end like kind of hints at a sequel. So I want to just enjoy a movie and not worry about universe building on the first time I'm viewing it. You
Mhm.
know, like he's doing it intentionally. I'm like, dude, like you just got out of like creating this universe. You're just doing another one like right off the bat, like trying to enjoy yourself. Like, do you really see him like making future zombie movies? Like, are people interested in
Well,
seeing a zombie universe from this?
Well, I will say this: Dawn of the Dead 2004, unfortunately not streaming anywhere, but that was the remake of the original Dawn of the Dead, which is considered one of the best zombie movies ever.
Mhm.
And that's probably like one of the few, at least in my eyes, I'm not a big zombie person fan, but that's one of the better zombie movies of the 21st century. And I feel like with his action background and that background in Dawn of the Dead, this is something that he's very successful in, and it makes a lot of money, and he gets the budgets to do it because everyone can rely on him to make these type of zombie movies. So I actually do kind of think he can be doing this. Do I want him doing this? No. But then again, I think I'm the minority here.
I feel like if it was any other director, this would fail as a universe. I think you have Zack Snyder has like Zack Snyder's Justice League was such an internet phenomenon. He's got such loyal fans that they will like embrace anything he does. So like Netflix throws the bag at him. He makes this movie action packed entertainment, right? When it really kicks in. I think those people will like their ride or dies. They're gonna
Yes.
see this no matter what. But in terms of me, what I want Zack Snyder to do, I want him to get away from franchises, just make good movies. Like he's even talking about like in his previous interviews, he like wrote a sequel to 300. I'm just like, do something like that's not connected to anything. And now you're making Army of the Dead and you're thinking of like 10 projects to go off of
Right.
it. I know they're obsessed with world building and that's like the in thing right now, but
And
just focus
Netflix.
on making a good movie because it takes away from the original movie itself when
Mhm.
I'm watching it. And I'm like, okay, that was unnecessary what you just did, but you're just worried about getting to the next project. Like just focus on the task at hand, buddy.
But and again, I agree with you. But if we look at it from a Netflix point of view, even was it Reed Haskins, the like Netflix's like leader,
Mhm.
he was saying we have everything on everybody. We have the money, we can get talent, we can do
Yeah.
this and that. What don't we have? Obviously, they don't have an Oscar,
They need
but
franchises
they need franchises. They need world building franchises.
like the
They need
Gray
these things.
Man, yeah,
So
all
that's why
these
they're
things
doing the
coming out.
Gray Man and
Knives Out.
Knives Out is coming over. So, and they're paying 300, 400 million dollars for this stuff, and they're giving 200, 300 million dollar budgets. It's
Right.
ridiculous how much money they're putting in, but that's what they need. So it makes sense why if you want to build a world, you're going to go to Netflix, and that's why this is on Netflix. So it makes sense. And this movie, just since I mentioned budgets, had like a almost just under 100 million, like 90 million, I want to say. So they got the money for this, and it worked out. It did look at least to me, I did like the look of this movie, and especially in the
Yeah,
beginning,
I
the
agree too.
scenery of Vegas was sick, and then
When
when it
yeah,
died, when it was
I was gonna say when it was like broken, like the buildings were in half and stuff,
yeah,
and like Dave Bautista with the freaking machine gun walking around. I'm like,
right,
this actually does look sick.
yeah,
Um, and I just brought up Bautista. He is the lead in this movie, and it's like the first time he's been in a lead that wasn't something ridiculous like Stuber. He's known as a supporting character in a lot of movies. How do you think he did? You think he was strong enough in the lead here for Snyder?
strong enough. I think is the perfect phrase. He was solid. I think I personally didn't like his daughter in this movie, and her
Mm,
storyline. I thought it was terrible. It's just
right.
absolutely pointless. Just somehow to get that involved, that story, the father-daughter storyline involved, which it could have been better, could have been something different, or just not have it. It's a zombie movie. You didn't have it. I probably would have rated it higher if it didn't have that because it could have focused on the other characters. It seemed like there was almost too many characters at the same time going that they try to make influential. But then again, it's if going back to Dave Bautista, he did all right. I'm not gonna say he did great or bad. I just said he did all right. He did the action sequences great, and he did his part. He said his lines. He said his lines, Doctor O.
Said his lines. I think he did pack an emotional punch in a couple scenes. There's one scene towards the end of the movie. I won't do any spoilers, but I think that was my favorite scene where uh he is like he just erupts in anger and like he just erupts in emotion and he's just taking out zombies left and right,
That
picking them on his back, throwing him. I thought he was back in the WWE ring for a
you're
second. I'm just like, that was an electric scene.
you're
But
talking about the surprise, like out of the elevator.
yes,
I was
yes.
like that meme. I did not see that coming.
Yes,
Like,
Luke Wilson.
I was like, holy crap!
Yeah,
That
and
was actually an insane scene. You're right. That was great. I
no
won't say it's my
spoilers,
favorite,
no
but
spoilers.
that was
But that
easily my number two.
he went nuts in
Yeah,
that scene,
but
and
then
I love seeing him just mow people down.
right.
Yeah,
And then it was because of I actually no spoilers. But
I
then right after that, the cleverness of Zack Snyder and his team of just like what they did like with the zombies and how to the different type of zombies that I actually liked because it was a unique original thing to zombie movies. Because if you think of zombie movies, a lot of them like think of Shaun of the uh
you about
Simon
to say
Pegg,
yeah, Shaun of the
Shaun
Dead.
of
You
the Dead,
said
right?
yeah.
Like they're stuck in the bar. You think of Tarantino's From Dusk Till Dawn. They're stuck in a bar. Zombie movies usually like you're stuck against and you're like plying wood against walls and windows. This one, like it's obviously a heist, but like you're going towards the zombies, and the zombies were like adaptable and interchangeable. It was very
I was
interesting.
gonna say what separates this movie from other zombie movies, like this particular one, is like the ability for the zombies to kind of think, and they're not just like brainless monsters. Like these were some of them, I guess there was different types of zombies. Some are more methodical than others. They basically, and they I think right in the beginning, Zack Snyder kind of laid it out. I forget which character. I think it was the coyote. The coyote. She said that's the name of a character in the movie for those who don't know
Yes,
online. I'm just like not an actual coyote, but like the coyote
he was
said,
pretty good.
she was my second favorite character
Yeah, I
behind
thought
Dave
she was good.
Bautista. But she said they don't feel like they're trapped there. This is their kingdom. That's what she said. And they treat it just like that. They had a king, and then the villain was pretty menacing with that mask, that iron mask. Like and that
That's what
just
I was
shows
trying to do.
and
I
that
didn't want to
shows
say it.
the brains they have. That zombie knows, like,
Smart.
yo, they're aiming for my head. They need to take out my brain. Guess what? You're not getting to this brain. And that guy was Terminator-esque. I'm like, this guy will never leave the movie. Like, I still think they dropped a nuclear bomb on the place, and I think he'll still be there. He's just,
Right.
you know. So, but that's what I really did like, that aspect, and that kind of diversified it and changed it from like your average Walking Dead, where it's just like a bunch of them running at you and like you
Hmm.
could just kill them easily. Like, it was tougher here. I liked it.
Yeah, completely agree. And I think that even though even though the zombies like sometimes because again this is a 2.5 hour movie and sometimes they went into the zombie storyline but then bounced out of it. I think it actually did enough with it to understand like the zombies motives where it actually was applicable in the end, which I really did like from a storytelling aspect. Storytelling aspect, so I
Right.
did like that.
We brought up Batista. We brought up the quote unquote villain of the movie, although zombies are just the villains, sort of. And then I also want to talk about supporting cast. This supporting cast, there aren't really any recognizable names. I personally didn't know the work from any of these actors except for Bautista. So I'm looking. Do you think this movie would have been better, I guess, if it had more recognizable actors, more talent as known to audiences? Do you think that mattered at all? Do you think they did a serviceable job as well?
I think they did a serviceable job. I think like Omari Hardwick, he was in was it Empire or I saw on your TV shows on commercials all the time when you're watching football. I
Ah,
forget what it
okay.
is. Power.
Power.
Power. Yeah.
That's a 50 Cent show. Does he produce
Yeah,
that
on
one?
Stars. Yes. So like I see his face all the time, but I've never actually seen the show. Um, I thought I liked him in that. In this, I actually did like him a lot. And I know the safe opener guy.
I
I
liked
can't
him.
pronounce his name. It's like his actor name is Matthias Schwen, is like German or something. I thought he was pretty good as like the comic relief inside of comic relief sometimes. I thought he was pretty good. And his like crucial scenes, I thought he actually did a very nice job. Other than that, we mentioned the Coyote. She was good.
Mhm.
But again, like what I'll say here is that zombie movies, you got to have good zombies and you have to have good cinematography and action sequences. But all in all, it's all about the living characters. So I sometimes felt there's too many of them, such as the Reddit YouTube guy and his crew. A little too many, like just a little too many characters. Kind of,
Unnecessary. You didn't need him.
yeah. Let's kind of trim it down. Maybe they'll cut down the movie by 10 minutes, keep everyone engaged and not falling asleep in the middle. Maybe when there's no action sequences for like a half hour. So maybe that could have been better. But all in all, like the people that did shine through this made it better.
And you have to cover a lot of ground in terms of like background on each character, their motives, and like what is their personal gain from doing this job, right? But I think that YouTuber guy, like, he didn't have to be in this movie whatsoever. And then Lily the Coyote, like, I think she was electric. I really did enjoy her, and I like how she knew all the ins and outs about the zombies. And then I agree that Matthias Schweigofa, I think is how you pronounce his name. I did think he was proper comic relief. There were some points that like he would make a joke and I cringed a little bit, but most of the time it was hitting. Most of the time it was
Yeah,
hitting
that's
for
every
sure.
single comic relief is like that. And you just have to have enough good memorable comic relief moments to overcome those cringy moments. But I will say, even though he was good in this, I just don't understand why he was needed if the owner of the casino is telling them to go to like break open his own safe.
I mean, is the guy not? I guess the guy doesn't know how to open his own safe.
But then how do they get the money inside of it?
I don't
And
know.
they have the blueprints, they have everything, but how do you not know how to open your own safe? And obviously, this guy, like, all right, if I was told to go in, it was like one of these side characters, and I was told, oh, I can get $15 million, or I can keep $15 million if I go and get this money right for him, $200 million. Oh, for sure. All right, I'll test my boundaries if I'm 40 years old, 50 years old, and I'm dead broke. But this guy doesn't need $150 million if this guy is just parading around, owning casinos all around the world, and just going to all his like $150 million to him is nothing.
Yeah,
Seriously.
I thought it was gonna be like something even more valuable, you know.
Right.
And yeah, so like in that regard, I thought it was kind of like, oh, really, you need that money? Like, it seems like that guy's doing just fine, you
Yeah.
know.
And
It seems like he's doing just fine.
and his head of security at the casino was with them. So it
And
makes
he can't
no
open the safe.
like it's ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. But I get past that point. I'm a big Hiroki Sanada fan. He was the billionaire in this.
Yep.
And we saw him recently in Mortal Kombat, and he was phenomenal in that, in my opinion, in the very limited role. But would like to see him in more stuff.
Get over here.
But I'm looking forward to anything else he's coming out with. So looking forward to that.
Yeah. I think it's time that we throw out some scores. What do you say, Ricky Flex?
For me, surprisingly, after hearing that Rotten Tomatoes score, I'm a little disappointed because mine's very close to that. I gave it a 73. A 73 out of 100. Like I said, this movie did its job for a zombie heist movie with Dave Bautista as the star. Everyone was just solid. A couple performances a little above solid or better than expectations, such as the Coyote or the comic relief Matthias Schwan, whatever you said.
It's so hard. It's got like the double, the double
two
mark
dots over the
accent.
O.
It's like the German accent
Like
over
who
the
can
O.
pronounce that? Like I don't accept people that speak German. But all in all, this movie did its job. Solid. 73.
I got 75. I gave this movie a 75. I actually really like Dave Bautista in this movie. I think he was really good.
Wow.
I did like the emotional that the emotional touch he conveyed in the movie. One thing, a sharp criticism I had is something you brought up earlier, his relationship with his daughter, and the fact that they weren't talking and the reason they weren't talking. I just
So
didn't believe
dumb.
I didn't believe that at all. I'm like, dude, like this isn't even a spoiler. Like you find out at the beginning of the movie, Dave Bautista, his wife turns into a zombie. He has to kill her in front of his daughter, and his daughter's like, "I'm not mad that you did that. I'm mad that you just shut me out." I'm like, dude, he killed your mom. like he's gonna have a hard time getting over that, buddy. You know, it's just like I did not like that at all either. I'm 100% in the same boat.
And you keep thinking that throughout the movie, like, this is so dumb how she's mad at him. Like, just it's that, or you're both dead. What else? Pick one. Like, I was so mad at that throughout the movie, so it kind of affected also when I was watching that, my emotional breakdown of this movie. But I guess just you just mentioned Dave Bautista, just one more time. Let's mention it versus The Rock. I will say he's not as captivating as The Rock, and I think as everyone like listening to this, we can agree on that. Just looking at the WWE and how you can smell what The Rock is cooking, and like you just look back at all these memorable WWE lines with The Rock compared to like a Dave Bautista, which I don't know, like besides his presence, physical presence, you don't really think of him as a WWE guy anymore, really. But I still think he's better than The Rock at acting. I just did.
Bautista has the edge, dude. I don't think The Rock could have done this movie. The Rock could have done it. Like it just, but I don't think he could have conveyed the emotion that Bautista did here. I think he is a quality actor. And just to wrap up my thoughts, overall, very positive. The action sequences were lovely. They were so nice. When I say lovely, I really mean gory. And they didn't really hold anything back. There was a lot of killing in this movie.
The headshots nonstop. Boom, 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 boom.
And then I know one of the criticisms we had, like when these trailers came out for Army of the Dead, it's like, I mean, like this is like a zombie apocalypse movie, and like you're going to need money. Why do you need money? I think they crafted the story in a way where it was like, okay, now it's understandable why you need that money, or like even though like the billionaire or whatever, he didn't actually need the money, but like the circumstances around the zombies made sense. Like they're in a quarantine, right? They're blocked off from the rest of the world. There's a nuclear bomb incoming in the next 4 days. Like you need to get this done. Like I think they made it somewhat like, now I get it. Like when you saw in the trailer, you're just like, this is the dumbest idea for a movie of all time.
Right.
You know what I mean? But I think Snyder crafted it in a way that kind of made you understand.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go 75 for sure.
Unique to zombie movies. That it just by doing that in itself just made that better than most, at least in my estimate, that someone that's not a zombie movie fan, I should say.
Gotcha. Well, it's a 73 from Ricky Flicks to 75 from Dr. O. I'm going to throw it over now to Ricky Flicks for our top billing of upcoming Netflix projects.
Thank you, Dr. O. As the man just said, we're doing top billing of upcoming Netflix projects in honor of our review of Army of the Dead, Zack Snyder's Army of the Dead, which is on Netflix. So we're picking Netflix projects. They could be shows, documentaries, movies, anything that's coming out on Netflix sometime in the near future. But before we get going, Dr. O, you have the first pick. You didn't necessarily want the first pick. I chose to go second. What are your thoughts of having this first pick?
I think I know what I want. I think there's not a clear number one pick, in my opinion. There's a bunch of things I would accept as a number one pick. I think that because like Netflix is doing a lot of exciting stuff right now. Like they're trying to build franchises, but they also have so many of these great series already, different seasons coming up. Okay, I'm not gonna tease any picks right now, but I'm just excited to get going, and I'm going to try and mix it up as best as possible.
Yeah, I think as best as possible, at least, is like it's gonna be the biggest thing for me, because I think I'm a little overweight in one category out of the three I just mentioned, in shows, documentaries, and movies. But then again, like there's just so many good things coming out on Netflix, and I'm just looking forward to this. So how about you start us out with the top billing of upcoming Netflix projects?
Okay. I'm going to go with, so Netflix has been talking about building these franchises, like I've brought up multiple times. I think this is going to be their biggest franchise that is being planned. It's got star power. You got Ryan Gosling, you have Chris Evans, you have Ana de Armas, you got the Russo brothers directing. I'm going to go with the first overall pick, The Gray Man, spy thriller movie. I think we're getting Chris Evans as a villain in this. I think that's an exciting aspect. We kind of saw him as a hateable character before with Knives Out. So I'm excited to see him kind of steering away from that, like Mr. America, obviously Captain America, like just like the the goody two shoe. I like him foraying into this atmosphere. And then Gosling like is the Goss God. So I'm excited to see that. And Ana de Armas is on an absolute heater. There's like very few like actresses in the world that are getting the work she is right now. And I think she's like the most sought after actress arguably in Hollywood right now. That's how big she is. So I am psyched to get the gray man with the first pick.
Yeah, Russo brothers just coming in hot with Gosling, Evans, and Ana de Armas. Like, can't get much better than that. So I'm looking forward to that as well. Great pick.
Yeah. And then like Russo brothers, there are a lot of comparisons to Captain America, the Winter Soldier with the gray man. They do espionage so well. I'm excited. Then this novel was I mean, people are saying it was one of the best books written in the 21st century. I think it was Mark Greaney who wrote it. I think it was Mark Greaney. Yeah, novel, the same name, The Gray Man. Yeah, so number one pick.
Yeah, I agree with you that not necessarily like a consensus 1-1 where it's definitely like valid for the 1-1. It wasn't my first, but it was my second, to be honest. But if going 1-1, very comfortable with that. Off to me, I'm just gonna do just Knives Out. Just gonna 2 and 3. Like, I think we've talked enough about it. And even in the checkup with Leslie Odom Jr. and Kate Hudson coming on board to go along with Dave Bautista, Ed Norton, Daniel Craig coming back, just unreal cast to go with to follow up just an unbelievable first whodunit. And if you think about whodunits, it's in my eyes one of the best, if not the best whodunit of all time. And you have obviously you have Clue and you have other ones such as Knives Out. But I think Knives Out, Rian Johnson just really changed the game with this movie. And Benoit Blanc coming back on Netflix.
Knives Out 2 is so hot in the streets. It's everywhere on movie Twitter. It's all I see every day, along with anything of like Robert Pattinson and the Batman. Knives Out 2 is everywhere. Knives Out 2 is everywhere. And this cast is going to be unbelievable. And I like it is already unbelievable, but I can't wait to see them interact with one another, play off one another. Catherine Hahn, Dave Bautista. It's going to be nuts. And now we got Leslie Odom Jr. bringing that Oscar-nominated talent to the ring. It's going to be. I can't wait to compare the first cast to the second. I talked about it last episode, but it's. I'm looking at my chops. I'm ready for this movie, and it's just still being shot.
Right. Yes, it's still going.
Yeah.
But and yeah, it's still going right now, currently, and they just announced these two today, which is just mind-boggling. But that's my first pick. My second pick, I think I'm allowed to do this. Don't Look Up.
Yeah, why not? Why wouldn't you be able to do that?
Just because I feel like a lot of my board is like 2022 and beyond. Like a lot of my boards is not even coming out this year. I might be giving away my strategy here, but I just feel weird picking it because I don't think there's been enough buzz around it. I think people are just forgetting it right now with all the MCU, DC, Knives Out news, and all this casting news for all these other movies. Don't Look Up. They already finished all their casting news with the Leo, Jennifer Lawrence, Jonah Hill, Tyler Perry, Timothée Chalamet, Cate Blanchett, Meryl Streep, Ron Perlman. You can keep going. There's more. It's insane. But Adam K movie. Can't wait to see this later this year. This might be the best movie of the year, at least with Leo headlining it. I can't wait to see it. So Don't Look Up's my second pick.
Yeah, I mean any of those three, I would have picked first overall. I think those are all worthy.
They're my first tier. If Nez was here, if those weren't the first three, I would have been shocked.
Right, and Nez might throw out a wild card in there, so you never know. But definitely worthy. I can't wait for that movie. It's really not being talked about a lot. I think it's also because it's kind of like it's a Leo-led movie. But at the same time, Leo is not playing a traditional alpha type character appears in this movie. And usually he's kind of like I don't know, just not, I don't want to say hyper masculine or anything like that, but he usually a lot of charisma. In this one, you see pictures of him wearing glasses and looking like a L7 weenie. Then it just doesn't look like Leo, But this cast is unbelievable. You got Chalamet as the 10th name listed in the supporting cast. That's how big it is.
No, I think your point just there really shows why this movie's not getting talked about enough. Think about his last movie, Once Upon a Time, him and Brad Pitt next to each other.
Not as sexy.
All people talk about is this is one of the greatest movie duos, one of the sexiest movie duos. And
I was talking about like in terms of like the appeal like of the movie. But yes, that's
Right. No, but even the appeal, not just looks, the appeal, like
yeah.
it's a Hollywood movie. Like he does a lot of these, like he does a lot of those. And this one's just two astronomers who are just trying to convince the world that a meteor is coming towards Earth. So it's completely different, but let's do it.
Like it.
All right, off to you.
Here, I think the audience hears Gordy in the background a little bit. So that's our dog. That's he's buzzing right now. Moving on to our next pick here. I'm gonna go with The Guilty, 2021 film. This is Nick Pizzolatto, who is from Nick Pizzolatto, who is the writer of True Detective. Season 1, 2, and 3. And after a piss poor season 2, he kind of came around with season 3. Seems like he's back on his A game. We got a crime thriller here with, listen for this cast, starring Jake Gyllenhaal in the lead role. And then villainous role, I believe, is Ethan Hawke. And then we have Peter Sarsgaard, Riley Coe, who's really big, really hot in the streets right now. Was in The Devil All the Time. Just going to be in Zola for A24. And Paul Dano, the Riddler himself, is going to be in this movie.
Underrated
Paul
actor in
Dano's
Hollywood.
starting to like get more jobs now. Like people are seeing like,
Riddler.
okay, like this guy's going to bring it in the Batman. I think he just got cast in something else too. It's in the top of my head, but I'll have to do some research in a second. But the last name in this cast that I need to bring up, Bill Burr. Bill Burr in a crime thriller. Are you kidding me? You kidding me? You got Bill Burr in a crime thriller. Talk about diversifying the portfolio. He's stand-up comic. All right. Now we'll go to The Mandalorian, right? With multiple appearances. And now let's do a crime thriller. The man is everywhere right now. Bill Burr, hot in the streets. Yeah, I got to go with The Guilty, this crime thriller 2021 film. Let's go. And it's written and directed by Antoine Fuqua.
Yes, and that's why I was going to mention that. I was going to mention two things. One, Antoine Fuqua, I think Training Day with Ethan Hawke earlier. So just want to say that. And then the second thing was Paul Dano. Yes, he did just get cast as something, Dr. O. Spaceman with Carey Mulligan and Adam Sandler.
That's it. Yes, that was it. Yes.
So I was hoping
what a trio.
I was hoping this was going to slip to me. A little disappointed, but I'm glad you picked it. The Guilty. What's your third pick?
So I'm going back to franchises here. I think it's going to be a franchise. It was a highly sought after movie bid upon by a lot of studios, and Netflix ended up getting it. And that is Red Notice. I think it at the time of when they purchased the rights, it was the largest. I don't know if it was the most expensive movie rights ever bought. I think I want to say that it might have been. Well, but Red Notice.
The production budget is over $130 million. I'm not sure how much was bought for, but this movie is making a lot of money. I'll let you keep going, though.
Yeah, so 3 huge names here. 3 of the biggest action stars on the planet. We talked about The Rock. We kind of crapped on him earlier, but the man is pure box office. Gal Gadot, Ryan Reynolds. I mean, I haven't heard much about this movie. There's a lot of buzz prior to. I think we got a trailer for this. I just don't remember it. Did we get a trailer for this? Maybe.
I think we got a picture of them in the car.
Maybe it was just a picture. But I
feel in the car, I think.
I feel like because they acquired the rights back in 2019, the movie's the movie is already shot. So Dwayne Johnson, we got him like trying to put Netflix on his back, kind of like we got like because he could he has that star power, and you got Ryan Reynolds just like he's pure box office. You think of Deadpool 2, obviously, and Gal Gadot is Wonder Woman herself. So putting these 3 together in a comedy type thriller, seeing Reynolds and Dwayne Johnson bouncing off one another, that's going to be great comedy. Maybe Reynolds will have to carry The Rock in that regard, but because I don't always buy The Rock's comedic talents. But I'm going to go with the Red Notice as my third round pick.
Man, I had this penciled in as or not penciled in yet, but I wanted this last. I wanted this to be Mr. or Miss Irrelevant. I'm excited for this movie. A big budget, and the director as well, Ross and Marshall Thurber. He might not sound familiar, but think Dodgeball, think We're the Millers, Central Intelligence with The Rock, Skyscraper. So he's been a part of The Rock's journey here recently, and he's done some very good comedies in the past. So
Mhm.
we're gonna see how he does here with Gal Gadot, Ryan Reynolds, this star-studded cast. So I'm looking forward to this movie as well.
And to just give a little more information on the characters each of them are playing, um, Ryan Reynolds is playing the world's greatest con artist in this movie. That seems like a role he was absolutely born for, right?
Yes,
Him playing a con artist, like he's gonna play that to a T. It's gonna be phenomenal. Dwayne Johnson, of course, is playing an agent of some sort. So
Central
like,
Intelligence.
yeah, it's like Blink Once if you've heard that before. Uh, and he's the world's greatest tracker. Gal Gadot is the world's greatest art thief. You know, she's gonna be bringing it. She's gonna be looking phenomenal in this movie.
Wonder Woman. She's had plenty of experience with art.
Oh yeah, no, I guess those are the roles she's drawn to. But yeah, I'm going Red Notice. There we go.
Good pick. Good pick. All right, I'm gonna go for my third pick. Something that was already mentioned, or the lead in this movie was already mentioned today, at multiple times actually, and that's Blonde. Ana de Armas. Adrian Brody is also in this as well, just to mention it. But this is
Pat
going to be a
Riley.
drama.
Pat Riley.
Oh, yeah, Pat Riley, yes. Dr. Wearing the Lakers shirt, subscribe to our YouTube channel, The Drive-In. But yeah,
Rowdy.
so biopic of the tragic life of Marilyn Monroe. That's pretty much all you have to say. Ana de Armas, obviously, Dr. O already mentioned this. One of the hottest stars in Hollywood right now. She's just in all these. She just started out in Knives Out, but now every single studio wants her to be in their star-studded movie. So this is what I have to pick. Her actually being in the lead, not just a supporting character, the lead in it and playing Marilyn Monroe. I want it. Third pick.
My God, I need to see these stills as quickly as possible. Can you imagine her recreating the iconic like the skirt coming up and like obviously and like
They have
whatever
to do it in this.
like it's gonna be iconic. It's I can't wait to see it. As I said before, like arguably there's not a hotter actress in the streets right now than Ana de Armas, and her playing Marilyn Monroe. Like Twitter is going to erupt when this movie comes out. It's going to go nutso for her. So I'm psyched for that. Good pick. It was on my big board.
And then I'm gonna count on you not picking what I really want fifth, because I just want to take this in case you take it. I'm gonna diversify my board even more so and take an animated movie. I'm taking Chicken Run 2.
Nice.
Chicken Run 2. People have been waiting for 20 years for a sequel. They've been telling us a sequel is coming. It's finally Sam Fell is giving it to us. So Chicken Run 2 is on my board.
I mean, I like yes. I didn't even know that was coming to Netflix. So I'm pleasantly surprised by that pick, to say the least. Yeah, so like I don't even really remember how the last one ended, to be honest. I know they kind of escaped.
Yeah, they
right?
escaped and they're on an island, or not an island, but like the chicken island. Like, and they kind of teased it at the end, like saying like, "Oh, what's our next thing?" Like, and it just ended. And then all the actors keep saying like, or you keep hearing the news clippings saying, "Oh, there's going to be a second one." And you've been hearing this for years, and finally, Chicken Run 2 is happening at Netflix.
I like it. What's the studio's name? I forgot what it is.
Aardman Animation, I believe.
Aardman,
double
Aardman,
A's,
that's
yeah.
it. Yeah, bring Aardman back. Let's go. Chicken Run 2. I'll be seeing that opening night or whenever it pops on Netflix. That will
Yeah.
be, and I will do an immediate review. I might even just do a live stream of me watching that movie.
Honestly, that would be pretty cool. That'd be a lot of fun to watch.
Right. No, absolutely. I still remember seeing that for the first time at our Nana's in Kingston way back. I think I was like 5 years old.
Wild. I just kept thinking the animation this looked different, looked weird. Now I appreciate it. All right. Your pick.
I think I'm gonna go. I picked like two potential franchise movies, and then I have The Guilty. I'm gonna go with another film that is a star-studded cast. I don't know a ton about the film, but the cast is so powerful that I want to take it, and that's The Power of the Dog. The Power of the Dog. What a funny name. It's an upcoming drama, and here's who it stars: Benedict Cumberbatch, Kirsten Dunst, Jesse Plemons, Thomasin McKenzie. So those are all massive names. We hear right in that list. We got our plump boy Plemons, Thomasin McKenzie, Jojo Rabbit. She's also going to be playing Carrie Strong in a movie. Also Benedict Cumberbatch, like he is one of the most. He's not underrated, but he's not talked about enough. Like he's not talked about enough. He is elite. He is elite. And I'm also like, this is also interesting. Kirsten Dunst and Jesse Plemons, they're married. Did you know that?
Yes. And did you know? So do you know the storyline of this movie?
Not yet. No.
Okay.
Explain. All it says is that. So I didn't do enough research. A man wages war against his brother's new wife, right?
I think I tweeted about this like whenever this news broke about this movie and they were both cast. So it's based on this novel, and the novel is about these two brothers. So it's going to be Plemons and Cumberbatch as brothers out in Montana, and they're just like
brothers.
Wait, I don't know, but they're like very rich brothers living out in Montana, and they're like obviously they're brothers, so they're boys. But then this is just perfect. One of them, Jesse Plemons, starts to date Kirsten Dunst.
Wait, what?
Yes.
One of the brothers dates after their divorce,
and I think they get married.
Oh, it's and then so does it get like I don't know?
Like,
it's based on a book, right? It's based on a novel.
It's based on a book. You can read it. Thomas Savage.
Yeah, I'm reading it right now.
Wrote the novel, but this movie, like, if you want to see a relationship on screen, this is the movie to see, and it's with plump boy Scorsese's new golden child, Jesse Plemons. So I'm excited for this. I'm glad I got picked.
I didn't get a lot of details on it. All I saw was the premise where a man wages war against his brother's new wife. And I'm just like, and I saw the cast here. It sounds like it could get pretty intense. That's the vibe I'm getting. So I kind of like it.
And just to say this isn't the first time Jesse Plemons was on screen with Kirsten Dunst. They've worked together in Fargo, the TV show on FX. So just wanted to say that as well. So this isn't the first time, but it's the first time in a long time.
Okay.
Very good pick. What's your last pick to round out your draft?
All right. So I'm going to pick one that is based on maybe it's like one of the most popular graphic novels of all time. I'm going to go with The Sandman. The Sandman, it's a DC property. It's been talked about for so long. I think at one point you had Joseph Gordon-Levitt in talks to play the Sandman for a DC movie, but that was back when it wasn't even like the rights weren't even at Netflix. So I'm pumped. I don't really know much about it, but the fact that it's a DC property has me excited. I think Tom Sturridge, I'm looking at the cast right now, Gwendolyn Christie from Game of Thrones, Boyd Holbrook, who seems like he's in everything lately, Charles Dance. I don't know how deep the Sandman property goes, like if it's a long collection of books or it's just the one book, but I assume this is going to be another foray into a franchise for Netflix if possible. And I hear nothing but rave reviews about the graphic novel. It's supposed to be really I don't know how to describe it. It's like the drawings for the book are supposed to be they're out of this world. So I want to see how it applies and like the visuals on screen for this film. But I'm gonna go with The Sandman as my last pick.
That's a good pick. This actually didn't get put on the checkup. Did you see the JGL news today, Dr. O?
No.
He's gonna be in a new series where I don't think they announced which streaming service or station it's going to be on, service, whatever, but he's going to star as Travis Kalanick, the ex-Uber CEO, basically, and founder. And there's going to be a new series about like how he got basically like the internal pressures of being the CEO of Uber and all the scandals that happened around it, and also the external pressures because of all the
dude, he loves those types of movies. I think of Snowden. Yeah, immediately. And I like that we're getting more JGL after like his brief hiatus there for a couple of years. So he was attached for this project for so long. And I know I think he did like the reading for it. There was like a cast reading
really
of the Sandman, but it's also just an electric name, and I always thought it was somehow connected to like DC heroes, but it stands out on its own, sort of similar to Watchmen, I guess, in that regard, where it's just the one story. I think they're doing the same thing here, but I think it's people have been trying to adapt this for so long into a project. I'm excited that we're getting it. I think it is a movie, so yes, I'm pumped.
Great pick. Great pick. I'm gonna go round out this draft. I'm gonna go with my heart. I'm gonna go with my heart instead of my mind. But honestly, it might be my mind too. I just might not be thinking clearly, but definitely with my heart. I'm going the killer, David Fincher, my guy.
Ooh,
My
I
guy.
don't even tell me about it.
You do know it. It's the Fastbender.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, the Fastbender. So
What a
Michael.
duo.
So Doctor. So just to give a little refresher here, it's based off a book. It's going to be adapted. The writer of this movie will be Andrew Kevin Walker. If you think that it sounds familiar, we mentioned it before on the pod when this movie got first teased out. He wrote Seven, and he was a part of that movie, obviously, with David Fincher. And this is going to have a very similar feel to it because it's going to be an assassin who's going through a psychological crisis, and he literally just kills everything in sight. No moral compass, the usual assassin movie. But then, obviously, you're going to have this like noir themes and all the psyche with it with Fast Trains, Michael Fassbender in it. So I love Michael Fassbender. I think he's one of the most underrated actors in Hollywood. I think Assassin's Creed and other movies such like that are similar to that he has done kind of don't do him justice. I can't wait to see him pairing with one of the best directors of our era. Yes, I said that, David Fincher.
Yeah, I mean, we talk Fassbender. I put him almost in the same vein as Cumberbatch, dude. Like they're both electric. They're not underrated. They just aren't talked about enough. Same vein. And I like that duo. I know we talked about it earlier on the pod. Fincher and Fassbender. That's gonna be something to see. I'm very excited for that. Now that you brought up like who was in the movie. If you just said the killer, I would have totally forgot. We talk about so many movies on this
Right.
podcast. But yeah, that sounds electric. And I think we picked movies for every pick, right?
Yeah, no
Except
shows. No
no
shows.
show. So we might as well have just called this most anticipated Netflix movies.
Yeah, we could have done
But
that.
we didn't know. But I mean, like the show aspect, I wasn't gonna say like season 4 of this.
I
was
thought that would have
thinking
been
about
cheating.
it.
Like if you picked Stranger Things, Ozark, I wouldn't have vetoed it, but I would have been like, come on.
I wrote it down, but I don't think I was gonna do it. My only pick that I thought was similar, I had like it could be. It's actually a mix of shows and movies. The Chronicles of Narnia universe that is
Oh my
coming to
God.
Netflix. I wanted
That's
to
a good
pick
one.
that.
I forgot about
I would
that.
have picked that. I should have picked that over the Power of the Dog, to be honest. But Narnia, like I didn't like the first Lion, Witch, and the Wardrobe movie. I love that movie.
I love those
Give
books.
me all the Aslan in the world. I love that guy. I
Yeah.
love that lion. Absolutely electric. What a voice. But I can't wait to see what they do with that. I'm disappointed the franchise initially that I'm talking about, like the 05 version.
Mm-hmm.
I know like in the Voyage of the Dawn Treader, like it kept going with 2 or 3 more movies. It kind of fell off the wayside. People just lost interest, it seemed.
Yeah. Tilda Swinton. We talked about her last week for actresses, supporting actresses, and she was the witch.
She was menacing in that.
Yeah,
she was evil.
I guess if you haven't, before I read off the list, you have any more shows since we didn't mention any of them?
No, I didn't.
I did have one other one that was on my list, but I was afraid to pick it just in case Loki doesn't go as planned. But why do you mention that? It's because this show starring Tom Hiddleston. It's called White Stork, and it's a political thriller, and it's based in Britain, and it's about Tom Hiddleston's playing James Cooper, who's running for a seat in Parliament, and just obviously political thriller. What do you think of? You think of secrets being uncovered and just absolute chaos going on to his campaign and being in the seat, like a House of Cards type. And Netflix is doing it, so I'm really pumped for that. White Stork.
I think this is going to be a huge podcast where if you vote on Twitter, you have to listen to the podcast. Like you're not going to recognize a lot of these names if you didn't listen to the podcast. Like you're going to see The Guilty and you're going to see Power of the Dog, and you have no idea what those movies are, or they're going to see Blonde. Like even Blonde, people won't probably know
it's
yet.
not called Marilyn Monroe.
Right. It's not being promoted as much. So it's like when we say most anticipated projects, it really is important that like people spread the word and listen, or else you have no idea what we're talking about.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Yeah.
no, I think you make a good point here. But that'll round out our draft. But before I go over to honorable mentions for the movie side, let me just read off the picks, and then we can go to honorable mentions if you have any others. Dr. O has The Gray Man, The Guilty, Red Notice, The Power of the Dog, and Sandman. Ricky Flicks has Knives Out, 2 and 3. Don't Look Up.
You got to pick two, just two.
Oh, just two. I don't do
You
the
got,
whole
I mean, like
universe.
that's two movies. I would just say like
Oh, I was just thinking the universe. Okay.
just
Knives
Knives
Out
Out
2.
two.
I'm fine with that. Yeah. Don't Look Up, Blonde, Chicken Run 2, and The Killer. Chicken Run 2. But
I love how you said like I'm gonna pick with my heart here, and that was after the Chicken Run. that cracked me up. I'm like, oh, like yeah, I'm gonna pick with my heart here. I'm gonna go with Fassbender, and as if you weren't picking with your heart when you picked Chicken Run 2.
I could have said it for both. Yes, you're right. But honorable mentions, Dr. O. Do you have any others?
Yeah, I had a couple. As I said before, the Narnia universe. There's Beckett, that's starring John David Washington and Alicia Vikander. I don't know much about it, but those are two powerful actors. Especially I like to see what John David Washington's doing. I rewatched Tenet recently, and I actually really enjoyed it. It was really good the second time I watched it, and it's so much easier to hear on my laptop than it was in the movie theater.
Tenet is
Um,
good.
The Harder They Fall, that has not come out yet, I don't believe,
Not
and
yet.
that's Idris Elba, Lakeith Stanfield, Regina King, Jonathan Majors,
Delroy Lindo.
big time cast. Delroy Lindo, and it's a western. It's a western with a primarily black cast. That should be interesting to say the least. And I would just it seems like a non-traditional type movie. So,
And Idris Elba's second Western this year with Netflix. Concrete
oh
Cowboy
yeah.
came out earlier this year.
Oh my gosh, the man just loves westerns and loves Netflix.
And
Um,
EDM.
and EDM. Get after it, King. And then I had Kate with was it Mary Elizabeth Winstead? I think that's her name. Shoot, right?
Yes, I think you're right on
Mary
that. I
Elizabeth
don't have it on my
Winstead.
list, but I think you're right.
Kate, and it was there was actually a trailer or a couple of videos that came out recently on Twitter of her kicking butt, and it looked like she was like the next John Wick. So that should be cool. That's all I got for honorable mentions.
Mm-hmm. Well, just a few more from me. There's Chinatown prequel series with David Fincher. That's gonna be coming out in
Wow.
the next few years. I think I mentioned that in the Mank review.
Yeah.
Or no, yeah, I think I mentioned that earlier. I can't wait for that. I think that's coming out on Netflix, so I'm really pumped.
So that would just like, what it would explore like Nicholson's character, like who would it be exploring?
There's not enough information yet. They didn't, but
Ah.
no matter, even if it's the city or the character, either way, David Fincher's passion with that era in Chinatown, like you got me. And Chinatown's such an incredible flick.
You got me.
Yeah. Wendell and Wild. I don't know if this was on your list. Jordan Peele and Keegan Michael Key are combining again, and they're going to be voicing this animated movie together and also writing it together, and it's going to be a horror movie. And
Animated horror?
Yes. And Henry Selick, he was the director of Nightmare Before Christmas and Coraline. So I think the combination of the writing of Keegan and
can we get Tim Burton as a executive producer on this too?
That would be pretty sick. But like, just imagine like the combination of Jordan Peele and Keegan Michael Key combining with that Nightmare Before Elm Street Coraline director. Like that's really enticing. I'm probably going to come out around Halloween I think this year. So we'll definitely probably have to review that.
That's going to be insane. Like animated horror movie.
Yeah. On Netflix.
That's fascinating. And I like how those two are combining again. And the Keegan Michael Key, he's kind of hot in the streets right now after his SNL skit.
Yes.
He played The Last Dance. He was Michael Jordan. That's kind of funny.
And then two more. One, I won't talk about it because we already did Spaceman, but that's not coming out for a while. And then Escape from Spiderhead, which is we talked about it in the Miles Teller.
How did we not? Yeah, that's in Chris Hemsworth, right?
Yes.
God damn it! I should have picked that one.
But we talked about that in the what was it? Miles Teller. What was that debate? Miles Teller and who?
It was Race to the Oscar, right?
Yeah.
It was Miles Teller and someone else.
I know. Right?
I don't remember. How do we not remember this? We're just gonna walk through this. Who is like Miles Teller?
No, I'm like thinking back to the debate because I think I picked the other person.
It was the Project X review. It was the Project
Oh,
X
wow.
episode.
That was
This
so
is
long
this goes
ago.
back to episode 8.
30 episodes ago.
Oh my god.
And who was it?
It didn't say in the
Oh no.
it didn't say, but like
wait, you keep looking.
I'm pulling up the blog right now. This is riveting podcast stuff right here.
Oh.
All right.
When you look that up, I'll just say the quick synopsis of this movie. This is rumored to be in 2021, but most likely 2022 due to all the delays going on. But this is set futuristic, but not too futuristic. Just far enough so like none of the current political drama or anything like current relative news in the world is going on today. So 2 young convicts, Miles Teller and Chris Hemsworth. Yes, what a duo. They are grappling with their past in a facility run by a brilliant visionary who experiment on inmates with emotion-altering drugs. So that's going to be insane. These 2, Chris Hemsworth and Miles Teller, being prisoners, trying maybe escaping from this prison, and this guy just going to be testing on them with crazy drugs. So I'm all in on that.
I can't find it. I didn't blog it. How do we not know this?
Can you pull up episode 8 of the pod to see if we could I think we could pin this down.
I got episode 8 up. Let's play it out loud.
You're gonna see lots more party high school films like this, and the way they were shot.
But then cancel culture kind of pivoted.
It's just most ridiculous lines. It's low key, just way more.
Fast forward a little bit.
Success.
Yes, success. And we debate who will get an Oscar first.
Oh, here it is. Oh my
who
god.
will win one if either ever do win an Oscar first. So this we just reviewed Project X. We talked about Miles Teller. Miles Teller is a great cop. Shia LaBeouf.
Shia LaBeouf. That was it.
The van. It was the van. The Fast Times week. Richmond High review casting a reading.
That was actually
the Project X. Oh my god.
I mean, that's how much he's fallen off the wagon. Where the heck?
We forgot.
I literally forgot, and then we that wasn't even a year ago, and that was our most viewed blog in our history. Over it's a few thousand likes, a few thousand views on it.
Wow.
Good stuff. But that was actually electric that we heard that out loud. I don't know if the crowd will think the same. That was big.
God. Well, that'll do this top billing. Just a wild ending there. That wasn't even a part of the draft. I'll throw it back over to you, Dr. O.
All right. That's going to conclude this episode of the Drive-In Podcast. Thank you for listening. And please leave us a review wherever you are listening to this, and then rate us 5 stars. Do it. Next week, we are reviewing Spiral from the Book of Saw in theaters now.
Go to the theater.
Do it. All right. That'll do it. We'll see you next time. We will smell ya.
By the way, did you see the Kevin Spacey news? And
I was gonna bring it up, but I was like, I don't know.
Yeah, but did you see the name of the movie?
No, but I.
L'uomo de Tisengo.
I know. I saw the. Well, it's a French movie.
Yeah. Did you see the summary?
Yeah, dude.
He's gonna play a blind artist. What is he trying to get an Oscar?
What are you talking about? Did you? What are you talking about? Are we looking at the same film?